I have some new followers who don't know my cancer journey story, and sometimes I post about it. And so, just to get everybody caught up to date, here's a new pinned video because a lot has happened since the last time I told my cancer journey story. If you started following because now I post like bugs and plants and just pretty nature out here in Missouri, hi, hello, my name is Eve Wetzel and I have brain cancer. So basically, I've told this story a million times because this is what my account used to basically be for, and I don't want to bore the people who have heard this a million times, so I'm just gonna, tell it real short, just make sure everybody's caught up and on the same page. October of 2020, I was having nocturnal seizures that we were assuming were anxiety based. We didn't even know that they were seizures. I was ignoring it. I was broke. I was working a job that I hated. And I thought all of it was stressing me out and making me have night terrors, but we ended up finding out that they were seizures way later. In April of 2021, I have the worst of those attacks that we weren't sure what they were at the time, because I had lost my brother to heart failure. The attacks kept happening until about October of 2021, so about a year from when they started, before I ever tried to figure out what was going on. And truth be told, other than telling my psychiatrist, like, hey, I've been having panic attacks in my sleep, I never really did anything to try to figure out what was going on, which was a mistake on my part. But I had left the job I was at in 2020 and went back to a job that I had worked at right out of high school. So I don't have any memory of this story. The doctor said that I probably never will. This happened in 2021. It is now 2024, and I still don't remember, but this is based on what other people have told me. A customer had came up, asked for a sauce dipping cup. I bent down to get it out of the thing under the counter, and I handed it to her, and I noticed my brother-in-law coming in, and so I waved, and I said, hi, Ryan, and then that's where, like, any bit of memory of mine goes away. According to everyone else, at that point, I slammed to the ground. My boss was in the back. She heard my head hit the ground and thought that, like, I dropped, like, a metal pan. She instantly called 911. My brother-in-law, like I said, was there. So he called my sister and my mom. Somebody got me turned on my side because I started seizing, like, immediately. Grand mal seizure. And then the ambulance took me to a hospital. And so the first hospital that the ambulance took me to basically was just like, all we can do is give you a CT. We don't have an MRI machine for emergencies. And they were like, yeah, you have some fluid up here, but we really can't see why. It's just, it looks cloudy. So at that point, they sent me to a bigger hospital in the next town over, where they were actually able to give me an MRI, but again, they just were able to see that it was cloudy and they couldn't figure out why. But that hospital had, like, a neurologist, like, associated with them. So then I was able to get a referral to a neurologist who could request that I get other tests so that we could start seeing why my brain is so fuzzy. We did, like, a ton of blood work. Like, I was having to go to the hospital, and, like, they were just rescanning my brain, taking my blood, looking at everything over and over, and every time they were just like, I don't know, you got fluid there. One of the things that we eventually did when the scans and blood work weren't showing anything was a spinal tap, also known as a lumbar puncture. If you've ever had one of those, it was extremely painful, and it actually resulted in no results. They were just like, it looks normal. And that's because I have a type of brain cancer that doesn't show up on a lumbar puncture test. And when all my tests were just coming back normal, but obviously I wasn't normal, like, I wasn't feeling good. I had been having some really bad migraines, and I had been having those nocturnal seizures, and then the grand mal one, and I was sick. So now from October of 2021 to mid-November of 2021, we have been doing blood work. We did the spinal tap. We did tons of MRIs and CTs. And my neurologist finally is like, I think this is a glioma. And it was an appointment that my mom took me to. And I was, like, really scared. And he was like, I think I'm going to have to refer you to a neurosurgeon. And, like, that already just sounded terrifying. Then I asked, like, well, what's a glioma? And he says it's a tumor. And I said, well, what's the likelihood of it being cancerous? And he said, if it's a glioma, it is a cancerous tumor. He referred me to the neurosurgeon, and a few weeks later, my partner took me to that appointment. And at that appointment, he basically looked at all my previous scan, blood work, spinal tap, all that, and said, Yeah, I agree. It's probably a glioma, and honestly, your only options are for me to go in and do a biopsy, which was basically a mini brain surgery, or we can just continue to scan it and see if it grows. The idea of just letting it grow terrified me. Sorry, my glasses are too big. And so in early December of 2021, we scheduled that at the end of December we were going to do a biopsy. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a scar up here, and it like goes all the way here, but I have hair now. But in December of 2021, at the end, I think it was like December 28th, yeah, like the day after my partner's 21st birthday, my incision used to only go to here, and they just went in, took out a piece of my tumor and tested it, and at that time it had came back as a grade 2 astrocytoma type glioma brain tumor. The neurosurgeon reported those findings back to my neurologist, who let me know and referred me to an oncologist at that hospital, but that oncologist was like, I'm not, specialized in brain cancer, but up in St. Louis, they have a bunch of doctors who are, so he referred me out to Siteman in St. Louis. And when I got there, I got a whole cancer team, a neuro-oncologist, a neuro-radiation oncologist, and a new neurosurgeon. First plan of attack was another surgery. This time they were going to open up more of my skull and try to take out as much of the tumor as possible. This was super scary to me because in the recovery of my last brain surgery just to get diagnosed, I had had another grand mal seizure. On February 28th, 2022, I underwent a second brain surgery, this time a craniotomy, where they were able to resect 99% of my brain tumor. But I was given from like the beginning of March when I got out of the hospital until May, I believe, to recover because I was having some serious appetite and dizziness issues. In May of 2022, at the end, I finally got to start my radiation treatments, which were Monday through Friday, so I would have to spend those days up in St. Louis, and then I got to go home on the weekends. And so I did radiation on those days in St. Louis, but then 7 days a week I was doing pill-type chemo called Temodar, and it didn't affect my hair growth, but the radiation did. But since it was predominantly here, my hair loss mostly started here, but I just shaved my head completely bald because I didn't want to have like a horseshoe. But I did radiation 5 days a week and chemo 7 days a week for 6 weeks. It was like end of May to beginning of July. And then in the beginning of July, I got to ring the radiation bell because I had completed those treatments. And then I just had to do the chemo. I got August off from the chemo after that. And then I just had to do it like 5 days a month for 12 months, so like a full year of doing that. And while doing that, in November of 2022, I started a new treatment called Optune. It was like this sticker stuff I had to wear on my head, and it sent like electricity to my brain to tell it to stop growing brain cancer. That was not a very good description, so if you have any questions, feel free to leave them and I will answer them. I did have to continue shaving my head for that treatment, and it just kind of, not the shaving my head, but overall was affecting my quality of life because I couldn't go out in the sun with it, and as you guys know, I love to be outside. So I did that treatment from November of 2022 till March of 2023, and then I quit it and I got to start growing my hair out. Put up right now, and it doesn't look so good, but it's getting long again. But I continued my 5-day-a-week treatment of chemo until July of 2023. I'm coming up on 1 year treatment free, and I got to ring my final bell. Even though I'm not doing treatment anymore, I do still have cancer. Brain cancer is not one that is curable, so I will live with it for the rest of my life. I have to have scans every once in a while just to make sure it's not growing. And if it starts growing again, I'll have to do treatment again. But until then, I'm living my life to the fullest with my garden, my pets, and the love of my life. And I just want to spread some positivity, so if you guys want to come on that journey, go ahead and follow. Thank you guys for watching. Stay positive.